the countdown is over and it's time to let loose again on Dr. Kit Speaks. All right, with the shake up with Dr. Kit. Okay, all right. Good to see everybody that's checking in right now. Hey, yes. Thank you so much. You know what time it is. It is Monday at 6 p.m. And all we do at this time for the next 45 or so minutes, is just do a shake up, man. We got to shake things up because even relationships, they kind of settle at the bottom. Tell this thing every week. That's my tagline. It's settle at the bottom. We got to shake it up, turn it up so you get all the goodness that's floating around in there, okay? So I just want to thank you so much for taking your time out again to be with me and with the others on the show. So thank you. Listen, we've been going now for over a year and things are getting better. So here's what we want you to do so that we can continue to get better. All right. What we want you to do is to like, follow, share, and subscribe. That is the bloodline of this podcast and every other podcast. We got to like, share, follow, share, and subscribe, because that's you investing in us as we invest in you. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. And then while you're doing that, you might want to think about something else too. You know what that is, right? We'd like you to become a part of the show. All right. If we want you to become, we like to say if you like to, but listen, we want you to consider yourself a part of this family. We want you to come online here with us and be a part of the show, and we'll get you on here. Now, listen, we like to have you on camera, but if you don't want to be on camera, hey, listen, we're good with that too. Why? Because the message is what we really want. We really want to get out to the people, and they can't, I can't tell your story. And your story is always the truth because it's your experience. Science cannot debunk your story. So come on over, come on up, join us, okay? Dr. Kit Speaks at gmail.com, and we will get you on here. All right. And let me tell you this here too, in a couple of weeks from now, we will be in, guess where? Nigeria. Yes, I think that's where we're headed, Nigeria. We're going to be going to a university over there. My wife and I, we'll be a part of the group of people that should be going there to put on some conferences, including dealing with relationships and other human services in other areas too, pertaining to humanity. And of course, it's a medical team, and so they have some doctors and some nurses who will be there too. And I'm just going to tag along and just do what I do right here on the show. Okay, enough of that. Listen, we got a good show for you tonight, and we got a great guest. A great guest. I've known this guest for a while, so come on, guest, come on by, and let's see what you got for us tonight. Hey, Mr. Jay Caldwell, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Doing better now that I'm seeing you, man. A good friend of mine now for, I don't know, maybe 15 years or so, Jay. It's been about that long, right? Been about that long. Yes, And a lot of things have been going on. And so now, because you made a turn, a shift, a shake up in your life, you're doing some really good things out there. And so I thought, we kind of bring you on the show so you can share, so people can see you in another way, a positive way, reframing you from what, from how they know you to be on normal circumstances. And now they're going to see you in another frame, man,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Listen, enough of me now. Listen, I just want to ask you, I'm glad you're on. Thank you so much. Listen, go ahead and introduce yourself, however you want to introduce yourself. And then listen, tell us what you are going to drop on us. Give us a subject matter for tonight, and we'll punt this ball and get this game rolling, okay?
Well, I'm James Caldwell, and I've served in this community for over 20 years as one of the assistant pastors from First Church here at First Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Huntsville. And I no longer serve in capacity, but I serve as a counselor In fact, I am at Oakwood Adventist Academy as the school counselor currently, and I work at A Touch of Peace with John Ruffin. And it has been a joy and a privilege and an honor to be able to serve in this capacity. I love what I do. I've done from anything from family counseling to children's counseling to adolescents as well as couples therapy. And I've really enjoyed my time in this capacity. I also served at Oakwood University at one point in time as a director of the youth residential dorm there, Holland Hall, and I enjoyed that immensely as well. My love is people, and so I thank God for the opportunity to serve once again in this capacity as a therapist, and I'm really enjoying my time as such.
All right. Thank you so much, Jay, man. Sound like you're doing some really good things. It's time for me to retire now, man. we got listen, man. Listen. We got a new sheriff in town, man. Yeah, I don't need me no more. I'm gonna pack my bags. I'm gonna go down somewhere. I'm gonna go do some fishing. I don't even know how to fish, but I'm gonna go fish so I can get out the way so that you can do whatever it is you like to do. Okay, Jay. So thank you so much, man. Really good resume right there. All right. What do you want to focus on with us tonight? What you got to tell us, man? Then we're going to incorporate everybody else in it.
We're talking about various pathways to relationship restoration.
Okay.
And it's interesting to see this movement and growth in the dynamics of couples therapy, whether they're venturing into marriage or trying to maintain and grow their marriage. There's different aspects of this relational thing that's going on between couples that sometimes held to be complicated because of the different backgrounds that come with this territory. Because I mean, it's already difficult having two different people from two different walks of life that are trying to form one life together because of all the different things of their culture and their upbringing that comes into this mainstream of oneness, and to give up some of those things to merge into one is oftentimes a complicated thing to do, and sometimes it needs a little help from outside sources. So people call me as well as you to try to help in this process of growing a couple into one. And it's interesting because they say that marriage, it takes work, and it does. It takes a lot of work in order for it to function properly and for the two to become one, and for the two to be happy and to be satisfied. Now, if you add anything in there that is outside just the normal struggles of life, it really becomes complicated. And what I mean, if there's have been any kind of abuse, if there's been any kind of neglect, if there's been any kind of adulterous relationships or trust issues, it really breeds a hard way of life for individuals. And sometimes it seems like that the relationship will always fail and never be able to thrive and be what it needs for the individual as well as the couple. And so I'm one who believes that things like that can work if both people are willing to make it work, as well as, get the necessary tools to actually do those things.
Oh, man. Woo. Now, I don't remember nothing you said, right?
I know that was a lot.
Listen. Let me just say this here because I think we're on a good pathway here. One of the things that I know is that different schools, when you go to school for this, different schools, different universities and colleges, they all have their particular focus in terms of teaching and the therapeutic pathway that they teach. And so you and I, of course, we're going to have different ideologies and different ways to get to the same thing and different beliefs, but none of these are going to be detrimental to each other. So I'm hoping that we can take a look at, some of those things about, well, what if, we ask some of these what if questions. But one of the things that I liked about what you said was that we had different people coming from different areas of life trying to merge.
Yes, sir.
Trying to merge. Now, how do you work with people who have different ideas about themselves? They're so deeply entrenched in their own belief system. Even at the macro culture, they may come from one country, some has come from another country, large, or it might be at the mini micro culture where you're from one side of the railroad track and I'm from the other side of the railroad track, kind of thing. How do we deal with that? What are some of the difficulties that you might see that they might that might emerge in some of these relational expectations? What are some of those things?
Well, I'll answer this your question like this. For me, I'll always ask couples, what are the things that are what you consider deal breakers, and what are the things that you can actually live with? And then the other thing, what are you willing to sacrifice to build the relationship? Because a lot of times, if, for instance, if I'm trying to build a relationship with a particular person and I'm on this side of the street and they are on the other side of the street, I'm not going to be able to build that relationship unless there's some coming together. That means someone has to move from one side of the street or the other. And if I value the relationship, I should be willing to make some of those moves, which means that now I have to give up what I'm used to and go into a new territory, or the other person has to then do that. So the question is, what are real deal breakers for you? And what are things that you can live with? Now, some people have to understand what that really is for them before they can begin to express what it is, because we have our cultural differences and needs and desires, as well as things that we're just used to in regards to our upbringing and the people that we have become throughout the years. Like for instance, some people like to take the toothpaste and squeeze it at the bottom, while others squeeze it in the middle. Other people take all of their dirty clothes and put it in a hamper, while others just take it and drop them where they are. And then some will wash every dish that they use and put them up, methodically, while others, they're going to pile up in the sink. And the question is that a deal breaker for you? And is it a deal breaker for me? Or is it okay? And we need to be able to negotiate and understand what really matters in those moments. Because some of these things are not even worth a conversation for. Like, for instance, do I like this painting versus this piece of artwork? Do I like the couch closer to the wall versus in the middle of the floor? Some things are really a no-brainers that we should not be arguing about, versus some things that may be something we need to consider and take some meaningful conversation about. Like, for instance, is it okay for me to talk to my ex-girlfriend on the phone to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, or for her or him to call at the particular night to talk about something they have, and we're supposed to be friends? And some people would say that is a definite no-no, while others would say, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not jealous. I don't think anything is happening. But at the same time, the question is, how are you safeguarding your relationship from other problems that could seep in because of these kind of conversations you were having in the late and wee hours in the morning?
Okay, so let me act crazy right now. What difference does the time of day make in 24 hours when they call? I mean, listen, man, listen,
right.
Listen. If it's going on, it's going to go on at 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the middle of the day.
Right. Exactly.
So really,
I agree with you.
Okay.
So it goes back to the question is, the real problem is, or real question is, are you okay for me talking to the opposite sex at any time? Is that an issue for you? If it is an issue for you, then it's an issue for me, because we are in agreement and we are supposed to be one, and we're trying to forge a relationship together. So now what impacts you, my behavior impacts me. And so I'm now trying to give up some of those things that I may honor you as my spouse and my priority now.
Okay, so okay, all right, 6'5". Thank you so much. People that 6'5", come on now. Oh, what you gonna get? Which hand do you squeeze it from? 6'5"? 6'5" from the middle should not be allowed to marry. Oh, 6'5". How about this? How about you got your toothpaste and I got mine? Listen, man. That's a great question. You raised that up front, you know. So listen, I'm going to throw it back at you. I did my crazy piece on that. So so why don't you go ahead and say, what's really at stake here, man?
Okay, so when it comes to, I guess, the simple things of life, because really toothpaste on the grand scale of things is not that difficult of a thing to be making a life decision over. Although some people can and will make that a pointed discussion and argument, but it should not be on the grand scale of things a make it or quit it kind of scenario. And so if the toothpaste bothers you that bad, let him or her have their own individual toothpaste.
Yeah.
Problem solved, and if you have a sink that is compromised because of clutter and mess or whatever it is that bothers you, okay, it's time to get his and her vanity sink, so that won't be a problem either.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's ways to deal with issues like that. And so we need to begin to look at some of the things that we deem as a mountain as really a molehill or an anthill, and call it for what it is rather than making a mountain out of an anthill. And so some things are not needed our attention or time, where there are weightier things that are at stake. But some things, like, for instance, we all have ways that we cook and that we clean. We should not be arguing over these kinds of minutia. But for some, it's the world, because, they have to have things the way they want it. And every ounce of ground that is given to the other person is a frustration. Now we're dealing with some control issues. And I pause with that intentionally because I know there are some who have control issues that they have to have it their way. And so that's another podcast, gets it.
Hey, man. Oh, yeah. Come on back.
As you well know, I got to have it my way, and it has to be done this way. And so if I'm cooking the pancakes, that's not how you make the batter. That's not how you make who cares about how the pancakes or the waffles or the meat is cooked, as long as it's good at the end, or it's edible for us to be able to have a meal and have the nutrition and value of the food that keeps us moving. And so we got to begin to look at some of the things that we argue and say, are we really arguing about toothpaste? Really? We're fussing about, if the chair should be here versus there. There are other things that are more important than that. And so let me also say this in regards to, the disagreements that we may find ourselves in. We should create a safe place for our significant others, a safe place wherein they feel they can come to talk to one another about anything and everything that is on their heart and mind. Even the minutia that we think that may be minutia to me, it may not be minutia or a little to me, but it may be something big for you. And so we should create a safe place for our loved ones, that they feel that I can at least share what's on my mind. And even it may not be significant to us, we should pay attention. We may not even understand it, but it may be something that is significant to the ones that that we say we love. And so we need to understand what that is sometime, because we may be hurting a loved one and don't even know it if we don't create that safe place, because they don't feel that they can come to us and share. Now, I'll further the discussion by saying this. So if a person feels that if I say this to them, they will begin to shut down. The spouse won't say anything. They don't want to talk about it for days to come. And they begin to push us aside, almost act like we don't exist because you've now offended me. That should never be the case. Our feelings sometimes may get hurt. And I've told my wife this. I said to her, I said, now I may get hurt by what you say, but I always want you to come and tell me how you feel or what you think or whatever's on your mind. I said, because I want to know. And even when I get hurt, I'm going to go back and I'm going to think about what you're saying to me. And I'm trying to see where I can learn and grow from it. And I might come back and ask more questions about that. And it may take me a day or two to begin to consider what you're saying, because I might be in my feelings, just to be honest with you. I might be in my feelings about what's going on, but I'm always going to take a time to reflect on what you're saying to me, because I want to grow.
Right.
And I remember my wife saying to me, she said to me one day as we were about to get into an argument, and she said to me, are you afraid to tell me what's on your mind? Because you think that I'm going to pull away from you. And I said, yes, because that's the way I grew up. That childhood stuff is written in the DNA. It's a part of our upbringing. It's a part of who we are. I said, so yes, I fear that you're going to shut down on me and you're not going to talk to me, or you're going to push away from me. And she said, no, you ain't got to worry about that. I'm not going anywhere. Now, I knew in my mind that's the person I was, but I wasn't for sure, because I'm still learning her. I wasn't for sure that was who she was. And so when she gave me that green light, we're good. That wasn't for a chance for me to abuse it or to abuse her. But then I had the freedom to share that was on my mind. And so timidly, I come out the gate to share what was on my mind, trying to see how she would take it. Because I'm like, okay, what's behind door number one when I say this? Is she coming with the hammer or what? And so he was strong enough, woman enough, to hear what I had to say and said, okay, I disagree with that. Or, okay, I accept that. I need to adjust. Either way, what I learned from my experience, no matter what, I understood that she still loved me.
All right, good.
And that was the foundation of it all. That created a safe place. And I knew she wasn't going anywhere, and I knew I wasn't going anywhere. It created a safe place for us to be able to discuss even the most difficult things that we have to deal with, whether it was dealing with finances or dealing with the opposite sex or dealing with work or whatever it is. We were able to safely go through those conversations without the fear or of the uprisal of an enemy who's going to now get me because I've shared with her.
Right.
And vice versa.
Oh man, this is some good stuff. Counselor therapist James Caldwell is with us here, man. And the shakeup to see those of you that are just tuning in, man, this guy's got a whole bunch of wisdom here, that he's sharing with us. He's from the Touch of Peace, and he's also the counselor over at Oakwood Adventist Academy. He's doing a wonderful job over there with those young minds, shaping and molding those young minds, but also he works at a Touch of Peace as a family therapist. So I'm sure by the end of this program, he'll give us some contact information about Touch of Peace. But I got this question for you, because a lot of stuff that you're saying, it's really true, really true. So my question here is this: where does and what is the importance of premarital therapy counseling?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a heavy question.
Hey, man, man, this is a shake up, man. This is nothing lightweight going on.
Well, well, most of us think we got it together.
All right.
And that's an interesting concept. We really think that we are all knowing and all wise, even about ourselves. And truth be told, there's still some things about ourselves that we're learning and that we're growing. So if we can recognize those nuances about us, surely we should be able to recognize that about a spouse, a sister, or a person who's a potential spouse is sitting across the table from us, that there's things that we don't know about them as well. And I know that when I was in school, there was this question asked about relationships in psychology. It said, you know, who am I by myself? Who am I with you? And who are we together? And so there's a different nuance in each stages of that. Me as an individual, me with you, and then me with us together, and trying to understand what that is, as well as forge a life together. That's on another level, another plateau of behavior and togetherness and love and happiness and you know, it's a hill that goes up and down in regards to being in love and out of love and hate and excitement and euphoria and all that kind of stuff in between. I remember someone saying to me that, you know, you're really not in love until you hate them.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily agree with that. But I've also seen this.
That's a paradox right there, man.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I also seen this, that there are people, they say that marriage or marital relationship that is about to get in is like flies at the screen door. Some waiting to get in and some waiting to get out.
Come on, Jay, man. Jay, do you want to talk like this?
Yes, sir.
This is about restoring relationships, man. Talk about flies on the screen door.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's not to be trifled with.
Okay.
It is a matter of the heart and the spirit and the power of God, I would add, that forges relationships, that builds marriages and sustains them. It's not something to be trifled with. It is a serious matter. And so it should be taken upon as serious. More people do research on what kind of car and homes they want to buy, and not even take the time to really consider the relationship or deal that they're about to get into. And it should be premarital counseling should be one of those steps to help a person to understand not only who they're getting in a relationship with, but also what they're getting into a relationship. And I mean the marital phase, because marriage is spiritual. It's not just any institution. It is a spiritual convocation, and that it is a matter of heart, mind, and soul, as well as body. And so we see this design of this institution and the weight and the how can I say, the fight for it as well as the fight against it within as well as externally, that we need to consider every option that we have to help build it from the beginning, and starting with a clear, strong foundation of premarital counseling is one of those means. And I mean that with all my heart, that I encourage people to try to understand, because we don't understand what does it really take to make a house into a home, you know. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the home, the house becoming a home. It's not just two people sitting there and they're like a roommates than an actual husband and wife, because that's the last thing you want, is to have a roommate where you pass each other in the day and nights, and you have no conversation and no intimacy between the two of you, because you have not become the couple and the oneness that you have designed to become.
All right. Woo. Hey, all right, Jay. Thank you so much for that, man. That's some good stuff. Some good stuff. Listen, I want to step back a little bit. And you said something, and I've been thinking about it. A couple of things you said was, let me take this one first, because this one's kind of tantalizing to me right now. When you talk about this, who am I? This thing that they ask in psychology, who am I? When I'm by myself, and then I can't remember the second phase you said, but then the last part was, who are we when we are together? And so the question here, then, help me with this, okay? Where does a change take place? Does it take place in me when I'm in all of these different places, or does the different places make me change? You understand what I'm saying here?
Yes. The change, it takes place over time.
Okay.
It takes place just like any chemical compound that you add. It always changes the dynamic of the main substance. So if you take water and you add even Kool-Aid to it, just the Kool-Aid itself, not the sugar, but just the Kool-Aid except the packet, it automatically changes the water to something totally different than what it was. And so there's always a change that takes place. Even, and it's interesting because studies show that if you put two people in the room doing the same thing, all of a sudden, there is a competitive spirit to try to finish it before the other. There is a change just because of the presence of a person in the room without even saying anything. And so you add to that the mixture of an attraction, and it's interesting because some people are young enough to remember, as well as young enough to experience at this stage, that when you have an initial contact with someone that you are attractive to, you put your best face forward and your best foot forward. In other words, you're trying to pronounce all your T's correct and hold your head in a certain way and have body posture in a certain way, because you're trying to show that you're a worthy companion in some kind of manner. And so you don't always show who you really are. You try to perform until you finally relax and let your hair down, that it's okay, because now the person accepts you for the person that you're trying to show them to be. The more they accept you for who you really are, the more you relax and become that person, but over a period of time. But it doesn't happen right off the boat, because in the beginning, because of the unknown, we try to show that unless you become comfortable with who you are. Okay. And that's one of the notions. Even with my children, I tried to share with them that I didn't want them dating at a certain age, because I said, you don't even know who you are or what you want, let alone getting in a relationship with some young man and getting involved, and that becomes muddled in the process. And so I told them, and I don't know if I was right or wrong for this. I started early in their lives. I told them they could not date until they got out of high school, and they understood what I was trying to share with them, and they did. Now, of course, they could have been doing anything they want to behind closed doors, because I'm not always with them. And I told them that. I said, that's between them and God. I'm not going to be the FBI trying to figure out what they're doing. I just try to help them to mature enough to be able to handle some of these situations. So anyway, some of us, even at this stage of our life, we still don't know who we are. And we play the game and put on these different faces and facades to try to show somebody that a side of us that we aren't, until we can actually relax with the person that we really are in the face of others. And so you have that different nuance, the changes that occur and that will occur as the other person on the other side of the table begins to accept the little bit of us that we can truly show to a person.
Yeah, thank you for that. Good, great response. One of the things, that you said is, and I'm going to say it my way, is that sometimes we do know who we are, but we don't like who we are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that can change the theatrics. We start to now we go on stage for somebody. We manufacture that person on the inside, and
Yes.
we're really good at performing that person on the inside, but man, are we lying, man? I'm going to be straight up with you, man.
Yeah, I think some of us are. Some of us are lying. But there's different sides to us. As you well know, we are complicated beings. I mean, some of us like Bach, while others like T.I. The same person can like T.I. and Ludacris. And then you have some that who will worship the Lord as a living creator, while others who seem to abstain from it, as well as some when they in the presence of others won't do so and act like they don't know him at all. And so it's an interesting dynamic of who we are in different settings, and sometimes it impacts us negatively, and so we try to hide those kinds of peoples, as well as, like you said, lie about that. And I've seen that in some of my practice, that wherein a man or woman has lied completely about who they are, and even about children that they don't have and do have, because they don't want to have this personification that is pushed out there with having children and different things about themselves put out there in the public's view. And so they'll hide different nuances. And so, and this is why you have to get to know people. You have to take time with people and not just jump to the conclusion and then make decisions based on those conclusions in such a hurry, but take time to really get to know a person. And my belief is always that if you really take time, a person will show you who they are. And over a period of time, they don't have to tell you. You would learn who they are over a period of time, and all about them, because it will come out one way or the other.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it certainly will. Okay, Alan G. Trust is fundamental to the healthy relationship. How do you? This is for you, sir. How do you rebuild trust in a relationship after being hurt? Should a time frame be placed on the repair? Whew, I'm glad they didn't ask me that question. Yeah, I'm going to toss it right back to you. They're hurt. How much time do they really need? And the time frame be placed on it,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You can't put a time on rebuilding trust. But I will say this. Sometimes our hurt and our anger, we use it as an excuse not to get past our mistrust. In other words,
what you mean by that? Tell us what you mean by that.
In other words, when someone or a period of time I've been hurt over and over again, and I want to rebuild trust, but I'm just not going to do that because, I just don't trust nobody. This has happened too many times, and I'm using that as an excuse not to trust anybody ever again. And so even when the best person comes up to me, or people come up to me, and I know I have reason from what I can see to trust, but I'm not willing to do that. I'm just not willing to let go of what has happened, because this person that is before me has not done anything to warrant my me mistrusting them, or have done anything that causes me to mistrust them. I just had that in because of all that's happened to me in the past. And so I use that as an excuse. Nope, I'm not going to trust them. I'm not going to give them time of day. I'm not going to open myself up to, because there's an inherent fear of being hurt again, as well as an inherent anger that I'm not going to play the fool again. I'm not going to allow anyone to do this to me ever again. And so you're cutting off from being loved and from being cared for, as well as trusting another individual to open up a heart again. And you're keeping your heart closed because of, you are now a prisoner of your past.
Yeah, thank you for that, LNG. I thank you for that question. Because I think kind of opened up a lot of things for me to think about, and also for our listeners to think about. And so we talked about there was a matter of trust inside of that, and so I got something I want to kind of put another word, merge another word with that, Jay, and tell a little scenario story about that. I was at a place years ago when I used to do, go to people's homes to do counseling, therapy, stuff like that. I remember this. I remember this one particular place. It's almost like I used to go to pretty much the same time every week. This dog knew exactly when I was coming, man. And as soon as I would pump my car, this dog would start a commotion, barking and carrying on and doing all kinds of stuff like that, carrying on, and then would do this, for several weeks. But then when I got in the house, the dog would just run around behind the owner and just kind of just sit on the floor. And recently it came to me that it's not just trust that we're dealing with. It's a matter of safety. It's a matter of safety.
Yes.
Because the dog felt safe with the owner, they could then turn around and trust the owner. The dog didn't know me. So the dog didn't feel safe with me. Therefore, they couldn't trust me. And I think there is, going back to LNG's question, I think there's and something you've been talking about too, is this part about who is this other person that lives in the person that they can act out whenever they want to? Who is that person? And so they do that. And so it's that safe space that you were talking about. Some people don't have a safe space like right here, and they are looking for a safe space outside of themselves. And so they're trying to find it in somebody else who's also trying to find their own safe space. What do you do what do you do when two people are trying to find their own safe space? They come in contact with each other, man. You're the therapist. Go ahead and give us a response to that, man. Two people looking for a safe space.
Is there another therapist online?
Oh, no.
Yeah, and that's a difficult one.
Yeah.
When two people are, and I've seen that where they are now both are looking for safe places. You haven't been given to me for years, and you want me to give to you because you feel neglected and unloved, and you don't trust me to actually come through on my work. It happens on both perspectives, on both ends. And what I have said and counsel the person, someone has to take the courage and make the steps. Now, what I find in these situations is that oftentimes people are looking at who is to blame, who is the culprit in this relationship that caused us to be in this corner. Well, he did this and he did that. He cheated on me with another woman. She didn't talk to me. She didn't give me sex for years, and all these kinds of things, and creating this dynamic where both people at the edge of the homes and not in the same room together, and they're upset and they don't trust each other as far as they can throw one another, and so they are at odds and they are against one another almost, and so they're standing there. But the blessed thing is they're still in the same house, so that lets you know there's still hope. And so they still are arguing about the same thing, and no one's willing to bend. And so I get this notion all the time. Well, he needs to do this and she needs to do this. And I say, it doesn't matter who did what. The problem is that you are far apart. That's the problem. And the person who recognizes it at first will be say, no, we don't need to be apart. Let me come where you are, and I'll admit that I'm wrong. And let's find a way to make this right, because we can no longer allow the issue to push us further and further away. So what do I need to do to meet you where you are? And that's the point. The point is not what you did. Is not what she did. The point is that we are divided, and I don't trust you. And I want to make our marriage work. So how do we bridge that gap? Somebody have to be brave enough in the relationship, no matter whose fault it is, and say, look, babe, we need to come together. We need to talk about these things. We need to get some professional help, some spiritual help, or whatever it is, or we can work this thing out ourselves, be able to talk about the serious elements that are causing division. Well, I don't like when you talk to other women on the phone. Well, I'm not going to talk to other women on the phone. What else you got? You know, or that means you don't trust me there. Yeah, I do have trust issues in this area because, you know, the last couple of relationships, somebody cheated on me and I'm afraid this is going to happen. And I don't feel like you're safeguarding our relationship. And that person has to say, yes, maybe you're right. Or I don't understand that because I'm not trying to cheat on you, but because of my love for you, it far exceeds what I want to do because you're my number one priority. I'm willing to let this thing go so we can bring our relationship back into harmony and build from there on. And so somebody has to take the leap of faith and trust to restore the marriage and the mistrust. And then the other person then begins to concede in their areas as well. It has to be a give and take.
Okay. Listen, Jay, I'm going to listen, man, I'm really enjoying this, but we're going to shut it down in just a minute or two here. But I got this, I got this thing here for you. There was this, somebody, you know, went on a honeymoon or went somewhere. Okay. They brought something back for us. Okay. A little jar, and it dropped, and I did something, you know, I knocked it off the table or something like that, you know, and it shattered into several pieces, you know. And so I picked it all up, picked all the pieces up and put it on a white towel so that I could see it. And I guess I got so busy over the weeks that my wife, one day when I was at work, when I came home, I was looking for this thing and it wasn't there no more, but it was on the table. And she took the time to put it all back together. It shattered. Wow. Put it all back together. But here is a key piece though. Even though it's back together, you know, and I'm going to say as good as new, even though it's not, but she put it back together. It still has the scars where it was broken.
Yes.
Okay. It still got it still functions well. We can put water in there. It's great. But the scars are still there along where it was broken, the crack lines, you know. So what do you do with relationship? Because we're talking about restoring relationships, right? Talk about how we restore relationship when to the point where the relationship is back as functional, but those crack lines are still there to remind you of the fact that it was broken. And some people can't get past that.
Wow. That's heavy, Doc. That's really, really heavy. And truth be told, many of us as individuals are just like that as well as the couples. And so some people who look at the scars of their marriage because of the brokenness that has occurred thinks to themselves, this is no longer functional. And I've seen some things that have been broken like that. And I've heard that, and I haven't judged this to be true yet, but I've heard this nuance about broken bones, that once they're mended, they're stronger than ever.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but of course, guess what? I don't want to find out.
Me. And so I say all that to say that yes, we may have the battle scars and where we've been torn and ripped to pieces, but we are together and stronger than ever to be. And those scars that we have will be memories that will hold us together, how we have overcome some of the worst times in our lives which is forges our love together to stay together no matter what, because we've seen some of the worst times, which means some of the better times ahead of us as well.
Man, I couldn't ask for a better response than that, man. To say, listen, those scars, those cracks, where it's back together and it's functioning well. Put water in there, it will hold. It's functioning really, really well, because the glue that my wife used to put it back together, as a metaphor, the glue that we would use to restore those marriages, it's called love, right?
Yes.
And it will leave.
Yes.
It will leave that scar, that
Yes.
line, and it reminds both of us where we are coming from, and
Yes.
how strong that love is.
Yes.
That even though we went through those things, see, that's a Jesus thing right there. Now,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
even though we're stronger now because of that. Listen, Jay, give us one parting word of wisdom here, man. So we, because man, you're just wearing me out with all this good stuff.
The last thing I would say is this: stop rehearsing your difficulties
Mhm.
and move forward to the good things.
All right.
A lot of things we have to choose to believe and accept at face value, and trust God with the difference.
Yeah.
We take the tools that we have and we use them and we work, but we have to stop rehearsing the difficulties. A lot of times we are our own worst enemies by allowing the difficulties to become mountains in our lives. If I take my little thumb and put it up against the sun or the moon, surely my thumb at this distance look like it's greater than the moon. But the moon is still greater than that. And so sometimes our problems are insignificant to what really is out there, because if we continue to rehearse them and keep bringing them up, they will become mountains in our lives. And so we work on them day by day. We communicate to the loved ones. We seek to sacrifice and to yield our love to each other, not allowing another person, not allowing distance and time and argument to become an issue where it pushes us away, but we find our way back to one another because we know that person loves us, and we know that we have a love for them, and we need to find a way through the difficulty, and we will, as we fight together with love.
All right. Thank you much, sir. Listen, before you go, there was somebody put a comment up there, and I think I missed it. Tracy Williams, thank you for putting it back up. It sounds like communication is the main key to trust. Thank you, Tracy.
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
you need to come on here one week and talk about communication, because you got no business putting out these great gems week after week and not coming up on here and just sharing this stuff with the rest of the world. Thank you,
Yes.
Tracy. That is an absolute LNG, I guess. It's like the scar that Jesus will have in his hands throughout, I put that, eternity, that will remind us that we don't want to go back into what caused those scars. Mm-hmm. Yes, LNG. Well said. Well said.
Well said.
And I thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I thank everyone that came online this evening.
Yes.
We really enjoy you week after week being here on the Shake Up with me. Jay, I thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you, man. Your wisdom and your skill and your knowledge set is certainly helped me, and it has helped a lot of people out there. So all I'm going to say is keep on keeping on.
Thank you.
Keep on doing the things you're doing, because, and I want your work to progress. Listen, here we go. A touch of peace. So is there a number? Is there a email? Is there a website that they can get in touch with you? We got James Caldwell here at Touch of Peace. I'm sure some people want to, we want to call you. And we want people to come to you so they can get the quality and the skill that you bring to this, or you'll impart in their lives. So how do they get to you?
We're Touch of Peace Counseling Services, and the number is 256-334-9572. That's 256-334-9572.
And they just ask for James Caldwell. Is that the way it works?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Listen, man, I thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to have you back because this was great. I enjoyed it a lot. And like I said, I'm always open to learning. I never want to talk to somebody, let them know and let them know a whole lot of stuff about me, and I know nothing about them. And I got to know a lot of stuff about you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. All right, folks, and there you have it. Another Shake Up with Dr. Kit is in the books, and I thank you so much. And I thank those who put share their input online. And thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much, Tracy. And yes, okay. Thank you, also Ellen G. All right, that makes me want to continue doing what I'm doing here week after week. Just opening up the minds of people and giving them a reframe, taking a look at this old thing in a new frame, and the picture will definitely look a lot better. All right. Okay. Shake with Dr. Kit. So what we want you to do is to like, follow, share, and subscribe as I close it down. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. And we're looking forward to seeing you again on next Monday. So like, follow, share, and subscribe. And of course, we want you to be a part of this program in the future. So just email drkitspeaks@gmail.com, and my team will get in touch with you, and we will get you on here post haste. If we can't get you on right away, we'll get you on. Sometimes we can get you on right away, but we just want you to consider being a part of this show. We'd like to see you on camera. If not, we'll just take your voice, because the information is more important than having a show. All right. So thank you so much. Great stuff. May God bless you. See you again next Monday. Oh, my guest wore me out, man. See you. You're a good guy. See you again. See you next Monday at 6 p.m. Central Time with another episode of Dr. Kit Shake Up with Dr. Kit. Okay. Be good. God bless y'all. Bye-bye.